Good morning, neighborhood kids and everybody else who's watching with us online today. I'm Miss Christine, and you can see I brought some interesting tools. I haven't usually brought these to teach you a Bible story before. If I was going to go fishing, I would use my pole and my net and hopefully bring home enough fish for a good fish fry and meal. And there might be some times, though, that I don't catch any fish. I just have to be patient and sit there. And for me, I don't know if that would be so much fun. Before they were disciples, many of Jesus' disciples were actually professional fishermen. They would go out on the Sea of Galilee or whatever lake they were near, and they would throw out these big nets, not a fishing pole, and hope that the fish would come in and they would catch them, and they would use the fish to feed their family, to sell, to make some money and take care of the family that God had given them. What would happen if they didn't catch any fish? Would they go hungry? Would they not make any money? Kind of sounds a little bit like what's going on. Not everybody's getting to do their job these days, are they? Well, we're going to take a look in John chapter 21 and see what happened one night when the disciples didn't catch any fish. Would you turn there with me? If you remember last week's lesson, Jesus had appeared to the disciples, and he specifically talked with Thomas and said, "Stop doubting and believe." And we know that Thomas did. And then Jesus had told them to go to Galilee. Now, Galilee would have been about a 3 to 5 day walk, depending on which way they chose to walk. But they went there obediently, and they waited for Jesus to come there too. And our story takes place by the Sea of Galilee, which is in northern Israel, where Jesus had told them to go. And our story today goes this way. Peter and John and Thomas and 4 other disciples were together, probably in someone's home, and Peter says, "I'm going to go fishing." The other 6 disciples said, "Well, we'll go with you." And so they got their boat, and they got into it, and they went out at night on the Sea of Galilee. Now, you might be wondering, like I was, why would you go fishing at night? You can't see what you're doing, right? But if you were a fisherman on the Sea of Galilee, you knew that during the day, while it's hot, the fish go down deep in the water where it's cool. And it's at night that they come up close to the surface to eat. And that would make it so much easier for them to fish. In fact, they didn't have to go out very far at all. They only needed to go maybe the length of a football field from the shore. And they could throw out their net, and the fish would jump into them, and they would catch a load and bring it in. And so the disciples were going to do this. They go out, they're there, they throw out their nets, and there's nothing. And they throw out their nets again, and there's still nothing. All night long, they threw their nets out, but they didn't catch any fish. As morning came, they're still out there. And someone appears on the shore, and he yells out at them, "Friends, did you catch any fish?" "No," said the 7 disciples. "Throw your net on the right side," he yells out at them. Can you imagine this friend telling professional fishermen what to do? And yet the fishermen listen, and they do, and they throw their nets out. And yes, there was a huge catch of fish. The Bible says they caught 153 large fish. And also important was that the net didn't even tear. That was important back then because it wasn't easy to keep your net in good repair, and the fishermen would spend many hours making sure that there were no holes in their net for the fish to fall through. So they would also be careful about how many fish got into it. But they start back towards shore, and suddenly John says, "Peter, it is the Lord." Peter looks, he gets so excited, impetuous Peter jumps in and he swims to shore. And he leaves his friends there to bring the catch in. Well, they get out of the boat and they're on the shore, and they're there with Jesus. And they notice that Jesus has a little fire going, and there's some fish already frying on it, and he has some bread nearby. And he invites them to sit down and have breakfast with him there in the early morning on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. Now, none of the disciples dared ask who it was. They just knew that it was the Lord. And Jesus took that bread and he gave it to them, and he did the same with the fish. This is now about the third time that Jesus has appeared to his disciples after he raised from the dead. When they had finished eating, Jesus had a special conversation with Peter. And he said to him, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Well, yes, I love you." "Well, then feed my lambs." And Jesus says again to Peter, "Peter, do you love me?" Peter says, "Yeah, I already said that. I love you, Lord." And the third time Jesus asks, now Peter's hurt. Why is Jesus asking me 3 times if I love him? "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you," he says. Why did Jesus ask him 3 times? We can find that answer in Matthew 26. It was the night before Jesus was crucified. And 3 times Peter was asked, "Are you a follower of Christ? Don't you know that man Jesus?" And every time Peter said, "No." 3 times Peter denied Jesus. But now Jesus has given Peter an opportunity to be forgiven of those. Because now 3 times he has said, "I love you, Lord." And then Jesus says to him, "Feed my sheep and follow me." And Peter did. And we'll learn more about how Peter followed Jesus next week. But for today, what could we learn from this story? I think there are 3 lessons for us. The first lesson is that Jesus provides just exactly what we need. He provided the fish for the disciples when they needed it, when their nets were empty. Perhaps there's something that your family needs right now, and you could pray together and you could ask Jesus to meet that need. Then we know that Jesus gave Peter 2 commands. He's been forgiven, and now he has to live here on earth. What is he going to do? He needs to grow. So he needs to first follow Jesus. How do we follow Jesus? We read our Bible, and we obey it and do what it says. Jesus is often called himself the Good Shepherd, and we are his sheep, and so we can follow him like that. And then Jesus said to Peter, one last thing, "Feed my sheep." And Jesus was telling Peter, take care of the people who love me, take care of your family, love your neighbor, do those good things. I hope this week that you will find a way to show Jesus that you love him by doing something very special for one of your neighbors or family members.